G'day mates, it's a Doctor here, and today I'm going to be doing a reaction video to the first episode of the Sodor series. And you might be wondering why I'm doing it, because it's only 4 years old as of 2020, which we're currently in, and that's because I'm already losing my hair at an early age, so that's, that's good to know, and I'm only 23 years old. But I can also give you some behind the scenes stuff of what it was like recording for the Sodor series. Like, you might be wondering, why do I sound so tired? And it's not just the fact I was recording late at night when doing this, but my lecturers for, was it film and television, when I was doing diploma, they told me that you become tired if you listen to your own voice. So keep that in mind if you want to do voice recording yourself. So, coupled with staying up late to record and listening to my own voice over and over, somebody fetch me a pillow. And you also might be wondering what shirt I'm wearing. It's Natsu from Fairy Tail, because Fairy Tail finished recently. But yeah, let's watch and cringe through the first episode of a Sodor series, and I'm a bit disappointed this is the most popular or most viewed episode with nearly 65,000 views. So here we go.
It was a bright and sunny day for Thomas the Tank Engine.
Already too quiet. So there are some people in the comments that have criticized why is the episode so quiet, and it's just incapable of acting. I was completely incapable of voice acting at the time. I don't know if I did voice recording before this. I might have done Boko for Delmar Mullins in a particular video. Don't remember what it was called, but
He puffed along his brush line with his two favorite coaches, Annie and Clarabelle.
oh, I noticed the audio kind of dips. What I'm trying to say is I can hear the music in the background being edited, so it doesn't. How do I explain it? It's not louder than my narration. You might notice that in recent episodes of the Sodor series, I try to sound more energized, a little more upbeat, because some of the other episodes I wasn't even tired. It's just I have a deep voice. And this was 2016. No, yeah, 2016. This is 4 years ago, so I would have been 19 years old when recording. So I don't know when my voice got so deep. Yeah, the layout is amazing. No one can deny that.
Sunrise,
Whoa, what was that?
rise,
From Sunrise?
dusk. It was almost
Why is there a pause there?
not just for Thomas, but for the passengers as well. That is, except for one thing they all agreed on, and reported it to that controller. Yes? Yes, I understand. I shall get on it right away.
Yeah, he's supposed to be talking on the phone, but there's no phone he's picking up, so. Okay.
That night,
Okay, now this shot, believe it or not, I had it as my desktop wallpaper throughout 2016, maybe 2017, until I had to get a new laptop, but this shot is gorgeous. I love this shot so much. Oh, and I don't know if I said it in this recording or another recording I tried to do earlier, but if you hear background noises, that's because I have the two dogs and a cat in the background, because it's a hot day. So, in case you hear any strange noises, that's why, and they're sleeping right behind me.
the engines are talking about their day. The Fat Controller came to Didmouth to tell Thomas that Annie and Clarabelle had to go to a fitter's yard. But why, sir? I have received numerous phone calls that the coaches have torn up seats as well as cracks from top to bottom. So tomorrow, after you drop them off, I want you to shunt coaches at Danford.
Do you guys want me to do a redub of the first episode of the Sodor series? Because well, I mean you've heard it, haven't you? You've heard.
While Percy helps out at Farquhar Quarry. Emily, I want you to run Thomas's branch line for the time being. And with that, he strolled away in his car. Well, how about that, Thomas? You'll be just like the old days. Please, Gordon, he isn't in the mood. There's nothing.
So I also had this mindset of my early episodes of a Sodor series should have some emotional weight to them, and uh, like what got me out of that habit of storytelling was watching other fan-made Thomas Take Engine stories, and these are just miserable. And then it kind of clicked in my head that that's probably how other people see my series. So I should try and make them a little more, not necessarily comedic, but more lighthearted. And yeah, it's fun to watch rather than a sad, emotional story. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with what I said. I'm just stating you'll feel like deja vu again. Edward still thought what Gordon said was rude and offensive.
Oh, something tells me the reason this is the most viewed is because for the longest time, this was the only episode in the solo series to have a crash in it.
But there was nothing he could do.
Is this I wonder, is this the longest episode in the Sodor series? 7 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes. Episode 6 is 10 minutes, so yeah, episode 1 is the longest episode in the Sodor series. Go figure.
The next morning, Thomas sent Annie and Clara to the repairs as he was told, and then went back to the big station. There, he shunted Emily's coaches behind her so she could be coupled up. It won't be long, Thomas. Like maybe 4 days. Yeah, maybe. For the rest of the day, Thomas could only watch the other engines rushing along with their trains.
Oh yeah, and you may notice that in some of the recent episodes of Sodor series that Terrence got face masks for his engines and models. I'm pretty sure he did a video explaining how he got them. Like James kind of has his grumpy face. You know that face I'm talking about. So yeah, let's just say it's better than these clay faces. Like no offense, Terrence. No offense. I've seen Thomas fans use little paper cutouts where they just draw the faces and stick it onto their models or toy trains. So yeah.
He forgot.
It is I guess not too bad, but Gordon's face in one of the solo scenes was just so crinkly, and the fact it was so up close, yeah, other people were a bit terrified by that.
Thought how happy he was when he was given his branch line after saving James. It changed his life on the island forever. Now, with that said, he has been shunting coaches every now and then after that special moment, but now it was the only thing he can do.
Yeah, so the focus of each episode of the Sodor series is like this episode is painful to watch because of how it's executed. I think the story is fine, going back to sort of a remake of the first episode of Thomas Tank Engine. And yeah, what I was trying to say is each episode of a Sodor series focuses on a different character and the aspects of that character, and like expanding on that or going in a different direction with that character as we've grown to know them. But you may notice each episode in the Sodor series is based on the engine number. And um that was something that uh yeah, it was definitely Terrence's idea. I think it was after the third episode. Um, that's Yeah, I noticed that episode 1 is based on engine number 1, episode 2 is based on engine number 2, so why don't we go from there? And there were two episodes for Gordon and James that were completely scrapped. Oh, and there was also an Edward episode scrapped as well. Um, so Edward's episode, which was just called Edward's Trucks, was, believe it or not, even more emotional than this because it ends on a sad note, whereas this one actually does end on a happy note. But yeah, let's just say Edward's episode never going to be released. Especially that we've done an Edward episode that is a lot better than the original Edward episode I originally had planned. And all it was just Edward trying to handle trucks, but then the trucks crash into Edward. He has to be sent to Tidmouth. No, the fitter's yard or the or Sodor Steamworks, whatever. And forgive me for stuttering a lot. Yeah, this goes back when the Sodor series was in its early stages, long before the first episode came out. Um, but the first episode, Edward's Trucks. Yeah, and Stepney comes over to help out the engines while Edward's being repaired. And that's just all it was. So it was a very sad episode. If you think this is sad, Edward's Trucks would have been much worse. And again, not going to release it. And as for Gordon James episode, Gordon's was essentially a continuation of King of a Railway because I hated the ending for King of a Railway. How it ends with Gordon and Spencer finally getting the race, and we don't even see who wins. So that's what Gordon's episode was originally going to be. But then when we decided to do the episodes by the engine number, we went with a storyline. Kind of. That was also James' episode, by the way. That James's episode was that he was meant to get new coaches, and then he came up with the idea of the Express Trio. So not Gordon. It was. Pretty sure it was James, and yeah. So Percy comes in.
Hello, Thomas. Hi, Percy.
Mm!
Need to stop for a drink, Thomas. Do you think you can take my trucks to the quarry? Thomas was about to say yes, but he quickly remembered what happened when he disobeyed orders during his early days on Sodor.
Yeah, so a bit of a character development for Thomas. And by the way, if you can't hear it on my laptop that I'm watching, I have it at maximum volume, both on YouTube and on the actual computer settings. So, oh, the audio is so bad.
No, thank you, Percy. I've got to stay here. Oh, well, see you around, Thomas. And he whistled him goodbye.
So yeah, that's something I missed for a while in the actual Thomas Tank Engine show. That Thomas and Percy, I always thought were like brothers, and they kind of just dropped it. But thankfully, um, I think I mentioned this in Delmar's interview with when he interviewed me that they did kind of bring it back with what was the episode in the latest season where Percy is looking for Thomas because Thomas hadn't come back, and yeah, I thought that was a great episode in the latest season 23, I think. Gosh, I can't remember what it was called, but
At last, the day was coming to a close. The big engines were coming back, and Thomas had to take away their trains from them. Ah, this is what it truly means to be a splendid engine.
oh god, the music transition, that's bad. So yeah, James. I thought he's like the snobby brat that thinks he's above everyone else. That's how I interpret James. And yeah, I guess there is some comedy even in this episode with James just being weird because I like weird comedy. It's my favorite form of humor. Just the kind of humor that makes you go, "What the f?" or "What the heck?" That's just so random humor.
Thomas, can you take my coaches away, please? Very good. I shall meet you back at the shed. And James
God, even as James, I sound bad.
puffed away as grandly as he could. Once Thomas shifted James's coaches onto a siding, Gordon was already waiting impatiently at the station.
I just realized, why is Gordon facing the other way, Terrence? Why is he facing the other way when he's supposed to be heading in the opposite direction from Knapford?
Come along, Thomas. This isn't a training session, you know. I thought you would know by now the significance of being...
Oh, training sessions. I'm not gonna say. Okay, I might as well say that that kind of hints at Stepney's episode that I don't know will be coming out in 5 years. Because yeah, if you wonder why the episodes of the Sodor series take so long, it's because Terrence is a busy person. He has a job and he does studies. I don't really know what Terrence studies, but yeah, it's important you get your real life priorities straight. And Solo series is really just a hobby of ours.
really useful. So
But yeah, don't be angry at Terrence, people.
Thomas strolled up to Gordon as miserable as ever to take his coaches away. Gordon showed not even the slightest bit of gratitude to the sad tank engine. Emily saw everything. After Thomas played...
So yeah, there are moments where Emily stands up to the bigger engines in the Sodor series because Emily kind of has that attitude in I wouldn't say the early seasons. She was introduced in season 7, I think. So yeah.
the express train on another siding, he went back to fetch Emily's coaches. But surprisingly, Emily disappeared. I wonder where she went. As Thomas rolled onto the turntable, he spotted Emily's coaches on the siding next to the berth she was in.
So here's a question, Terrence. So some of the music tracks here are they directly pulled from the episodes? Because they don't sound clean like from Toby's Windmill or Mavis M. You guys probably know who I'm talking about, and he's changed his name several times over the years. Um, yeah, the music kind of sounds weird. So maybe both the narration and the background music could also use a redub.
Gordon, James, and Henry were telling her off. Why did you shut your own coaches? Because I am a respectful engine, not an insolent diesel like you guys. Oh, Emily, you are completely misunderstood. This is what it means to have the privilege of being a big engine, or a tender engine in general. You see, now that Thomas shuts the coaches for us...
Jeez, Gordon sounds like Henry. Like I'm just doing Henry's voice for Gordon here.
The people on the island will realize how special we are. Not to mention, splendid. But keep in mind, you two, that Emily arrived on Sodor long after Thomas received his branch line, so she wouldn't understand what it was like before then. Ah, yes.
Ah, yes, Henry.
This moment while it lasts. It'll be some time until we have this again. As the unpleasant conversation went on.
So yeah, they're kind of just treating Thomas as a slave, which yeah, pretty rude. But I think some of us kind of like seeing Thomas get put down because oh, it's sad that Thomas has become the most despised character in the entire show. Just the fact they overuse him so much. So yeah, I think there are other times I do make jabs to Thomas in the future episodes of Sodor series.
Thomas smiled at Emily, knowing that one of his friends was looking out for him.
No, you're making a mistake, Emily!
The next day, there was nothing different. Gordon, James, and Henry were being just as rude as before to Thomas. Thank you again, Thomas. I will see you this afternoon. I wish I was at the repairs with Annie and Clarabelle.
Oh my god, his face looks even worse.
That would be far
You-
better. At least no one can tease me there. What are you doing there in front of me? You are meant to be fetching my coaches, remember? Thomas gritted his teeth. Or at least not ordering me around. When he was finished, he reversed back onto a siding so he could stay clear for the other engines. Edward
Yeah, something I've gone with my direction or style of writing is in the model area, you'll hear the narrator say like "spluttered Thomas" or "spluttered" or "said" or "yelled" or what other words did he use? And I don't know. I kind of feel like just leaving that out when I write and narrate for the Sodor series to try, kind of make it sound a little more organic. Because I don't think they do that for the CGI series. Like, gosh, I can't think of the other words that the narrator used in the early seasons. Yeah, whatever.
Hello, Thomas. How are you feeling today? I'm just glum right now, Edward. Well, look on the bright side. It doesn't take.
Oh, here's something that I really don't like when narrating is when the saliva clicks inside my mouth and it's just so annoying and I go through so many takes over and over. Like I yell sometimes when I uh record as the narrator of a Sodor series. It's just annoying as heck. So yeah, maybe at this point I was exhausted just recording like over and over doing the same take and doing the same line.
Long to prepare coaches. So you'll be pulling Annie and Clarabelle before you know it. You're right, Edward. Thanks for talking to me. Anytime.
Yeah. It was always a kind-hearted engine.
A little while later.
Okay, this is completely different than what was originally intended with the engines coming back intended puns. Uh so yeah, in the original script, Edward no, Henry, James and Gordon were not meant to be at Tidmouth Sheds. They were supposed to be waiting behind waiting in line, I should say, at Netford. I'll explain
The
later.
big engines
A little more.
arrived back to the sheds for a rest. Once again, Gordon, James, and Henry were in a bad
Oh yeah, and I think you can hear how different the audio is for my recording because again, this actually wasn't part of the script, and I'll explain why.
mood. Just like Thomas, as it felt like today was several days in one for the little tank engine. Hours went by without.
Oh my god! Oh yes, you can hear it. It was clearly re-recording at this. Oh my gosh! Oh, that sounds so bad.
Boredom and nothing else. But just then, there was an emergency.
Okay, so so to get the facts straight, um, Gordon, Henry, and James are not meant to be here just yet. Um, so they do come to Knapford later, but now we have the emergency. And what I was doing here for this moment is really speaking to my fist like this, to try and make it sound like he's speaking through a microphone, or speaker, whatever it's called.
There's a runway approaching. Please move away from platform 3. And everyone on the platform ran away to a safe distance. Citizen Ashes, I gotta do something.
That might be my best acting in the entire episode, and everything else is just bad.
Raced towards the signal box to alert the signalman about the runaway, and to set the points to a siding. Unfortunately, the points were already pointing to a siding, so now they were set towards Tidmouth Sheds.
Here we go. Probably the only reason this has the most views than the others of the Sodor series. Boom.
Thomas inspected the damage, but luckily it was only minor.
Yes, a play on the classic, luckily no one was hurt. Instead, luckily the damage was only minor.
Now we had to fetch some workmen to place some wooden blocks under the brake fan.
Wooden blocks, there's a, what are they called? The planks of wood? Or sleepers? Isn't that what they're called? Like the planks of wood that are underneath the tracks? There's still like plenty of railway terms and regulations that I don't really know of. I'm not really a railway enthusiast, but still, wooden wooden blocks.
Gordon, James, and Henry had to wait.
Okay, now you can hear there's an audio cut right there as I'm talking. So what happened here? Henry, Gordon, and James were meant to be at Knapford Station, and they were supposed to be waiting for Thomas to fetch their coaches while they were waiting, but Thomas was sorting out the crash. But the reason that was changed is because Terence told me that that it was what did he tell me? It looked awkward. I think that's what Terence told me. That it just looked awkward having the engines banked up from the station, but I didn't think that really sounds like a big issue. But I guess on Terrence's end, it looked bad, so he really wanted to change it, and that's why there's an abrupt audio cut right there as I'm recording. So, uh, yeah, that mystery is solved, and probably another reason to just re-record the entire episode.
Thank you very much, Thomas. I think you've duly earned that number one rated on you.
Oh, jeez, really? And Thomas, yeah, and Thomas, in a way, he caused a crash rather than just have a crash into Thomas. what did I say? Have the crash into Thomas. Good choice of words, Doctor.
Thanks, Doc.
Yeah, even Thomas thinks it's stupid.
He saw the fast controller there, waiting to congratulate him. Thomas, for preventing a nasty accident, I'd like you to take a break from shunting and remain at the fitters yard until Annie and Clarabelle are fully mended.
So yeah, about the whole thing with the Knapford Station and Henry, Gordon, and James. The only other time we've done that was actually in the Diesel episode. What did I call that one? Determined Termination. And fun fact, Determined Termination was originally called The Cunning Caterpillar, but I felt like that title gives away the. God, this chair is creaking. The original title, The Cunning Caterpillar, gives away how the episode would end when Percy gets back at Diesel. So, but yeah, the actual moment in the story for Determined Termination was um I don't remember exactly. It was during the montage, and there was like a brake van in front of Henry. Maybe that's for another time.
Then he turned his attention towards big engines.
Yeah. So again, the big engines aren't meant to be at Tidmouth Sheds. They're meant to be at Knapford, waiting in line for Thomas to get their coaches.
As for you three, I've been told that you've been quite rude to Thomas and not very grateful.
Have they? Like, have they been very rude? I mean, they kind of tease him.
Either. So I'd like you all to reflect on your actions while you shunt your own coaches. What? But sir, tender engines aren't meant to be shunting their own trains.
So this is a bit of continuity that I noticed later on when writing, or I guess rewriting James's episode from scratch, where this moment, like you have to fetch your own coaches, and then James says, "Not to worry, we'll be more than honored to fetch our own coaches if it means keeping our prized possessions." I believe that's what James said.
I thought we were over this foolish debate. Or must we go through it again?
So I guess, in a way, this episode is canon and not just filler.
Henry quickly confessed. No, sir. We remember it like it was yesterday. Well, then, why are you still nothing about? It's not like the coaches will be shunting themselves.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a lisp I gave to the Fat Controller because I figure that he's an old man, so he should sound like an old man. And that reminds me, what I was going for with the Fat Controller, even today, I guess, when I voice him, that I impersonate the narrator for the fairy tale. So I guess there is a reason I'm wearing this today. But the narrator for the English dub of Fairy Tale, I don't remember his name, but unfortunately he passed away between the 2009 series and the 2014 series. So yeah, I guess I'll look it up. Bob Magruder. I salute you, man. He was so perfect. And some of his lines were just funny as the narrator, like, "This is Grey Fullbuster, a very talented wizard, but he tends to, well, he has a bad habit of taking off his clothes." Yeah, that's the character Grey in Fairy Tale, that he has a habit of taking his clothes off. Anime.
Not so grand anymore, are you? Oh, the indignity.
Okay, um, I'm sorry to say, Terrence, I gotten a little tired of that in the Sodor series, so I kind of just want to lay it off for a while.
Thomas felt
Like, I think we've overused it at this point. I don't know what you call it, the clumsy theme, whatever it is.
rather satisfied with the punishment that James, Gordon, and Henry received. However, he knew all about the points. Hadn't he told the signalman, the trucks would have gone straight into a siding, leaving the brake van without any damage on it whatsoever.
Oh,
And this is what makes Thomas a very cheeky engine.
like you hear that sort of sudden loud noise and then it just dips. Yeah, but that's the first episode of a Sodor series, so yeah, tell me what you think of a Sodor series and how it's evolved over time. Like I try and sound a little more upbeat, like I'm not just talking into a microphone with a very monotone voice. I'm trying to sound a little more upbeat to make it tolerable to watch.